5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
There's definitely no organization or agenda going in on this call tonight. It's just, hey, you know what? People are bored. People want to be connected. They want to know what other leaders are thinking in the industry. So these calls are really good to get different perspectives of different people. And whether you agree or not, it really doesn't matter. But these are the perspectives of whatever comes out of these calls, and Diane's opinion or Tracey's opinion or my opinion. And the really cool thing is the three of us don't have to agree on everything. We have to agree on some things for sure. So we have some sort of chemistry, but we don't have to agree on everything. We have our own philosophies and ways, but we'll just jam it out. This is just a fireside chat, a jam session, kind of like sitting around a campfire. And you never know what comes out of these conversations. I often tell people the best conversations to be exposed to are the ones behind the scenes. So you can be like a fly on the wall and just listen to us jam. There's no sales pitch here. We're not pitching you on anything. We're just going to talk about some, perspective again, and based on whatever it is I come up with. And then, we're here to empower your situation. Maybe there's something that's going to be said on tonight's call that you'll kind of go like, oh, wow, is that what she said? Brilliant. I've been waiting for somebody to say that. Who knows what's going to come out of these calls again? So you might get some great ideas. And, to be able to hang out here for free, we're not sitting here saying, hey, you need to fly somewhere and get a limo and get a hotel, although that would be a lot of fun. You get to just sit here and hang out with us in a virtual forum. So, Tracey, is there anything you want to say before I just kind of start yapping here? I don't want to.
Well, I think the best part of this, Val, and this is, I think, why we really enjoyed it so much. For me specifically, I don't ever speak for you, but I know for me, it was really a time for us to be able to be honest, be authentic, be able to say what's on our mind. We always had a disclaimer at the beginning of all of our Sunday night sessions that we may not always be politically correct. So, but you know what? That's what I love about who we are and who we bring into the mix. And I think that it does intimidate people sometimes because, Val, I've worked together closely for, 6 years now. We've got a chance to get to know each other so well that, we can say anything, be honest and be upfront about things and really peel the curtain back in a lot of scenarios that, people really do need to hear. And I think that's what's so valuable about this. We've had some really great guests on in the past. And of course, we've got a really great one on tonight. So Val, I think going ahead right now, maybe it might be great for you to do a great introduction of a really great lady.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're very fortunate, as a matter of fact, to be able to have Diane with us. As many of you know, because you've been working with me for a number of years, I had the great privilege and honor of actually interviewing Diane with just an exceptional interview. It's in our back office, as you all know, definitely in one of the legend categories on the internet. And you know what? It's really ironic that I'm sitting here with Diane on tonight's call, believe it or not, because Diane and I never really had the great privilege of spending quality time together, although I think we have strong similarities, strong backgrounds. We know a lot of the same people. We kind of came from very similar molds in our belief systems. I think Diane's a very strong spiritual connection in the industry. I don't think she's, as a matter of fact, I know she's not about hype, smoke and mirrors, bells and whistles, superficial forms of manipulation. She's the real deal. And I've kind of figured that out over the years, kind of knowing her, seeing other people commenting about her, watching her without her knowing I watch her. We all do that. We check out each other's contents and lives over the years. And Diane's kind of hung out with a group of people that I had the great privilege of teaching back in the early 2000s. So I know Diane's been in the game for probably 20 years plus. She's been around some of the most unbelievable names in the industry. And when I say that, I don't just say Diane's read this book, she's read that book. Diane has literally sat with these people, like physically sat, touched their flesh in the form of a handshake or a hug, It's the real deal, right? Yeah, she got the real deal. So a lot of people talk about these world-class speakers and mentors and teachers. I'm not going to say gurus because I really have a hard time with that word. Guru just like totally disgusts me. But she's been around some of the most elite people on the planet in sales and marketing, on the lecture circuit. And what more can you say when somebody has that type of connection? I mean, this is what people should be striving for. And I'm still not sure how she did it. She can talk about that in a few seconds. It wasn't where I was going to go with the call, but like I said, I have no idea where these calls are going to go. But I'd really like Diane to talk about that for a second. Why did this gal from New York come into the industry, basically unknown? And then why is she connecting with some of the biggest, like, I'm not just talking about a few names, like she's got a massive circle here of power players in the industry. How does somebody even get that type of exposure where you can wine and dine or sit and actually have conversation off the record, never mind being on stage with them, which she has been. But I mean, she's had the opportunity to hang behind the scenes, and that's where the magic is. So Diane, very quickly, it's an honor and treat to have you here for sure. I mean, love your work, love what you're doing. Love the fact that, we have an opportunity to hang out in this chapter in our lives. And then I'll go back to the original question, but really like, what happened to you, man? Like, how did you even get in the same room with some of these people out there? Because that's not normal.
I guess it's not, but at the time I didn't know it was normal. I remember the first time I had dinner with Jim Rohn. I didn't know who he was. I just wanted a free dinner because I was broke. I'm not kidding. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, you qualified to go sit with Jim." I'm like, I don't even know who this dude is. And then I walked in and I saw the wine, and it was good wine. And I learned who Jim Rohn was that night. You know what, Val? I showed up early. I set up chairs. I set up product displays. And I just figured out that I needed to be, I don't know if anybody here is a Broadway fan, but there's a show called Hamilton that's been the sensation and made it around. It's on Disney Plus now. And there's a song in the show called The Room Where It Happened. And I became obsessed very early in my career with being in the room where it happened, locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And I always figured out who was the player, and I made myself indispensable to them. And a lot of times that was setting up chairs. I happened to be bilingual, so I was doing translation. I was whatever it was that got me in the room with everybody and then got me invited to the party after, because that's where all the excitement went on. That's where all the real stuff went on behind closed doors. I needed to be there and help so that the person automatically invited me to the party. And I don't know why, but I figured that out in my first year of business as a housewife who didn't know anything about the industry. I just knew that they knew what I wanted to know.
Let me just stop you there for a second. So basically, you put yourself in a position where you could be of service to like some of the elite in the industry, so to speak.
And I'm talking like people who are making $6, $10, $15,000. I mean, $16 million a year, not thousand. $1 million a year.
And it's sorry, but it's really interesting listening. I'm taking this in. I'm listening to what you're saying here, and it's like we've got parallels because I kind of did that in the same way too, but not with those people. With other people I needed to get access to, I would basically join their program, do what I could to fit in, try to mold myself the best way just so I could be connected to the right people. And I'm really perplexed. Why people today are so afraid to do this or haven't figured it out that, in order to get to where it is you want to go, you got to put yourself in that position to do it.
I think what's more profound is the average person becomes like a fanboy or a fangirl to the performers. So what happens is they're actually exhausting to the person. And I don't know why, but I realized that everybody was clawing at these people and I needed to be a relief to them. I needed to be the one that wasn't asking them, the usual questions. I need to be the one that just started to break down the chairs at the end of the meeting that they didn't have to ask. I needed to be the one that carried crap out to their car so that they said, hey, do you want to come with us to the diner? Because my business was in New York. I live in Connecticut. My business was in New York, and it was always the diner afterwards. And not everybody got invited to the diner. Not everybody got invited to go out after the meeting. And I knew I had to go there because what they would mumble, what would fall from their lips when they weren't on jazz hands, when they weren't on,
Yeah.
that was what I needed to know. And I don't know why a lot of people don't understand that. And I don't know why I did. I just did.
That's absolutely fantastic. Tracey, that kind of reminds me of the story. Don't mean to bring up another person's name, but even with Shane Moran, they did this big function down in Los Angeles. There's like 18,000 people there. And what happened is I went back to Shane's house in Toronto, and his next door neighbor has a 65,000 square foot house. So figure that neighborhood. It was crazy, right? Like the homes there were well over $30 million. And Tracey was one of 10 people in the world that got chosen to hang out with Shane in a private party after hours. There was a party for 10 people at 18,000, and Tracey was jamming down there. So these things are paramount. I hope you're all taking this stuff in.
The reason why I'm laughing is because I met Shane Moran at an event. I didn't know who he was, and we were all just hanging out. And I went afterwards. I'm the queen of Googling in the bathroom. Once we have phones that you could, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to run to the restroom. Who is this guy? Because clearly he has some influence, I met all of these people.
That is so powerful. These are the things that marketers today haven't figured out.
Val, sorry, I just want to say something about that too, Diane. That is brilliant, because so many times Val got pitched the other day. He got pitched the other day, and this guy didn't have a clue who he was. Didn't have a clue. And, and people will send me messages and they want to help me. They want to help me because of all my
I'd like
failures.
to help you too, Tracey.
What's that?
I'd very much like to help you. Do you have time tomorrow? Are you available at 2 or 4?
But it's so funny because, but they insult you with the way that they say things. They think that you've been a failure all your life, and they're going to come in and rescue you.
Read your profile. They just have a script. I'm a robot. I am a robot. I am.
But see how smart that is. It's because so many people don't do the homework. They don't do the homework. You got to know who people are. And, over a course of time, when you're in the industry, over a course of time, you'll bump into these people and you will eventually get to know who they are. I had known Shane for a lot of years anyway. So, we did know each other personally through that. But that's the thing is, like I said, Val he got pitched the other day from somebody that was, it was actually pretty funny. It was pathetic, actually. But anyways, go ahead, Val.
It's the same locally, though.
Yeah.
Let's say you're talking to real estate agents or something. You really need to know what their background is locally. If you're whoever you're talking to, you kind of want to. Back in the day when we started, there was no Facebook where you could read their profile and find out their dog's name was, Smoochie, and they had 3 kids or whatever. And they ran a global corporation. You couldn't find that out easily. We had to ask questions, and you had to have skills. And nowadays, everybody's walking around with a sign that basically tells you everything about them, and people still fail to read that sign, that Facebook profile, that LinkedIn profile, whatever it may be. And I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, it really is perplexing. Like Tracey and I talk about this, that even in our company that Tracey and I, they don't even read the instructions. They won't go to the back office and read anything. That even when they send us an email, they won't even be specific and say what it is they want. It's like you have to be a psychic in this industry to figure everything out, and I know Ray's on the line here. Ray's a hypnotist. Maybe we should get him to hypnotise people in the industry. And
Ray hypnotized me. He's been a big help to me. I can't say enough about Ray Williams. I went through some personal stuff in my life, and Ray showed up like a knight in shining armor and helped me with some stuff. So he's an amazing man.
Yeah, I know, that's really cool. Tracey, was there anything else you wanted to add on that before I go off on a tangent here?
No, it's okay. You can go off on the tangent. I think that it's just, and especially what you said, Diane, it's especially perplexing now is because all you have to do is go and look on Facebook. All you have to do is look at the profile, go and look what they're posting on their wall, for heaven's sakes, and you get a really good feel of who this person is. And on that note too, I mean, people, you got to be careful what you're posting there, because that is a big reflection of who you are and what you represent. And a lot of people aren't very careful about that. So,
Oh, well, you know what?
Especially now.
yeah,
Go ahead.
especially now. Yes.
Well, especially now, I was just going to say, because what you just said there is really paramount. Like a lot of these people, you know, how do you build a business? I didn't even want to go here, but I feel I have to go here now because Tracey, you just screwed this whole thing up, just so you know. All right. It's Tracey's fault where I'm going right now. I didn't want to do this, but it's really hitting a nerve. She did. It's a good thing. But here's the thing. People are dumping politics all over their walls, talking about who they're voting for. And, you know, like some of these people are running their own Facebook groups and trying to attract certain, you know, personalities into their lives. How do you do that when you basically are exposing yourself to like a warfare that is undescribable? You know what I'm saying? It's like you want to promote your business, but yet you're sitting here and you're, you know, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat or an alien, whatever it is, I don't know. But my God, like the things that are going on with people that are doing some, you know.
And it's very aggressive.
It's very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
And they're proclaiming.
You know,
Go ahead.
it just doesn't make sense, because let's say I recruit you, Val, right? And I'm all over my Facebook wall screaming whatever I want to scream. Your whole base may be different. And if I'm doing that, you can't introduce your base to me. I can't work through your base to find that rock star down there, because they're not going to let anybody meet me because I'm so out there. And I understand in the industry, we tend to be a free spirit type of folks. And I understand we like to say what we say and like to believe what we believe, and we like to do what we want to do. I mean, that's a big part of why a lot of us are in the game, because we want to be free. But everybody wants to be free. And if I'm so blatant about all of that stuff, I'm hurting my team from bringing people to me and letting me help them. And
Right.
It doesn't matter, you know, whether it's politics right now, and that'll, you know, the election will come, you know, I'm in the States. I don't know what your election cycle is up there. Does it work like England? Do you guys do the same type of thing, or do you have periods like we have?
Yeah, we have periods. We have a certain time. Ours is over and done with. Trudeau got back in, so weed is still being smoked up here in Canada by the bushel load. So it's all good. So yeah, no.
So I will say I know where all the provinces are. We were talking about this the other day. I'm the one American that knows where every province is and what it's north of, but I don't know your political system, truthfully. So
yeah, that's okay. You don't need to know it. It's pretty mellow compared to yours because everyone's stoned up here in Canada with all that weed, right? It's a little bit of a different.
Well, it's either that or they're pickled because they're frigid. It's so freaking cold. They have to do something to keep themselves alive. So
yeah. Well, the good news is it was 91 today, so it was pretty good. It's getting warmer up here. So listen, now that I want to get off the politics stuff, but I think everyone should probably really assess and evaluate their situation on their wall, like Diane said. Other people are going to see that. They might not have the same views you have, and that is going to affect your pocketbook, the growth of your business over a period of time. So many things are coming out of the closet right now. Nothing is new anymore. Everything's being exposed. Everyone's got an opinion. People are feeling safer. People are feeling more empowered to express themselves more than any other time in society, I believe. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. We lived in a very sheltered world, 70s, 80s, 90s, kind of, you know, keep quiet, don't really say things. But now everyone's got a big mouth, you know, kind of. I say that in a fun-loving way, of course. So that leads me to where I was kind of, you know, wanting to go tonight when I was thinking about this coming to the call. One of the big things in my mind is COVID. And I'm not talking about, you know, people dying and things like that. I'm talking about how it's changed our industry, Diane. I want you to think about that. What has COVID done for you? So, you know, we're cruising along, we're doing our thing, doing lives. And then all of a sudden, this massive disruption comes into the world and they call it COVID-19. All right. What has it done for you in just personally? Like, we can lead into the industry too, but what has this time out done for you? How has it affected you, your thought process? Has it changed your mind about anything? Has it opened up different vortexes out there for you to look at, evaluate, assess, reassess. What has it done for you personally, this interesting time in life?
I'll be truthful. It hasn't impacted my business as much as maybe some other people, because I was always online. But I haven't been on a plane since March, which is highly unusual. I'm usually at I would have been in Orlando 3 times by now, in Vegas 3 times by now, in San Diego 3 times by now, etc. So it's when you can connect face to face, the depth of the relationship is much deeper. So we have to think about that as we're connecting with people, as we're building relationships with people. We have this barrier. And the barrier is not bad. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, we probably span the globe right now with who's here. We certainly span North America, as far as the continent. And that's pretty gosh darn cool. And there's people like you that, Val, I've never met you in person, and yet I feel like I've known you for 100 years, just from watching you and so on. So it's pretty cool what we can do, but we have to keep in mind, there's something about a hug that we don't have access to right now, right? Tracy's like, because Tracy's a woman, she's like, ah. There's something.
People, do you hug or do you shake?
And there's something about looking, I have glasses on, but there's something about looking people in the eye that you can't do the same way on the internet that you can do in person.
Right.
On the flip side, our ability to gain exposure has never been higher, bigger, better. To get our message out has never been higher, bigger, better than it is now. So a lot of people, they're complaining, and I'm not going to sit and complain, because there's never been a time like now to access more people. I mean, I've met more people in the state of Connecticut in the last month without leaving my house than I have living in the state of Connecticut, which is interesting because everybody's looking for connection right now. I miss events. I miss speaking. I love teaching. I love training. But, you work within the parameters that you have. When I started my business, I had 2 little kids, and I had to work within the parameters I had. As I grew older, I could travel more. I worked within the parameters I have. We all have parameters. We all have limitations based upon our life circumstance. That's okay. That's okay.
Do you think COVID's forced people to take a look at a different way of marketing, as opposed to sitting back and marketing like a Secret Service agent where they're not known? You know what I'm saying? I guess, assessing and evaluating the power of automation, where you can stay in bed, be brain dead, and make money. That's, I believe, was going on prior to COVID. Personally, I think COVID has caused people to come out of the closet a little bit more than they were, forcing them to communicate more face-to-face. That's my experience anyhow, because I think maybe I'm forcing people to come to me in video chats more so than the other methods. So it's allowing me to get closer to people.
I think they're doing it because they're lonely too. I don't think they're doing, everybody wants to build a funnel and sit home and drive traffic and make money and talk to nobody and deal with nobody. Everybody does. It's not reality. For some of my friends it is, but that's not real reality. It's certainly, if you're not a networker, it's not reality. But I think there's a lot of people that are coming out into the sunlight simply because they're lonely. They're looking for more human contact. I've said to a million of my friends, I'm going crazy because I need to be around people. I'm a hermit. I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert, but I love events because I have that extrovert streak, and I do it for 3 days and then I go home. It was enough. And when I don't have the outlet for the streak, that part of me, I get a little kooky. So I think people are coming out. We see a lot of summits. Everybody's running a challenge right now.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. I also think that everybody ran all these things and they were great, but now everybody's seen it and they're kind of like, I've seen this. So people need to get innovative again. In the beginning, we were all like, we didn't know what was happening. We all know that this is a long run now. You know, I don't think there's anybody in North America that doesn't know that this is going to last a while. You know, we were all hoping it would start in March and end in June. It's not going to end this year. Just is what it is. And y'all can do your mask, no mask, this, that, all your stuff that you want to do. It's not going away. It's still raging. So, you know, we have to be smart, but it always boils down to relationships. I mean, why are we doing this tonight, Val? Because why did we end up hooking up when we, not hooking up, but you know what I mean?
I hear you.
But obviously we can't be anywhere near each other. So
That's right. Social distancing. You're all right.
disclaimer. We started talking when COVID broke out. So
Yeah.
we're here tonight because of COVID. So I'm thankful because we've been, you know, winking at each other for what, 10 years now.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's all get together. Let's do this. Let's do that. And tonight's the night. So I'm thankful for that. I've been doing projects with different people. I've been on a lot of podcasts that I never was on before because people are more serious about podcasts.
Right.
But it all boils down to who you meet, who's hearing your message, how many invites, how many presentations. It's never changed, never will change. Technology will allow us to get in front of more people, but people get more jaded because they've been more exposed. So same game.
How do you feel about, Tracey, anything you want to add to that? Like anything that what are your thoughts about this whole COVID break, Trace?
Well, I think it's changed the way relationships are, most definitely. I think that it's been challenging. Like Diane said, I'm a hugger as well. I mean, I think women definitely are. I think most people are, really. I mean, it's that human contact. So I think it's been a challenge for relationships, but I think that it's changed the way, I mean, the online world has always been, they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to get near you. They just want something to happen magically without them being part of it. So I think that we're in a real state of movement where everything has, I mean, Val and I analyze the industry all the time. We talk about it constantly. And so over the course of the last year or maybe a year and a half, we've really watched it change dramatically over a course of a couple of months. And then of course, when the COVID hit, it really made a big difference in it. So I think people they're curious. I think that they're anxious. I think that they're questioning everything now. And I think that also has been happening over the last year and a half, 2 years, whatever, through the online world, with marketing, with business, with MLM, with affiliate programs, who's who and who's what and who is saying things that are truthful, who's, smoke and mirrors. I think that there's never been a time where people have been either more confused or are questioning things more than they ever have before. And so I think it's very difficult for people to find the truth out there. And so, I mean, I think that the best thing that you can do is always speak the truth, even if you're not the most popular person. It's not always a popular stance to do that. However, over the course of time, that is part of who you are, and people will begin to trust you just for the people that, like it's a very difficult way to stand for some people when it is the truth. It's very easy to fall into that, oh yeah, like everybody else. But, you have to have strong convictions today. And I think even stronger today to really blow aside all the smoke and mirrors. So.
Yeah, it definitely takes some time for sure. I'm just kind of, as I'm sitting here listening to you and Diane, I'm reflecting on 41 years. I've been in this for 41 years, got started in 79. When I was 15 years old, my mom was able to be a guardian and sign me into a program because my mom was going into the program. But I was shy, scared, puking, nervous, cotton mouth, hands shaking, the whole thing. Just the whole thing was really scary, but it was attractive. And so I kind of look at where the industry is as far as the training from 1979 to where it is today. And I take a look at, I can only talk about my experience. I can't talk about anybody else's. But I feel for me, it's been, and I don't mind saying it's been a godsend to be able to go through the personal growth and development industry, the books, the tapes, the videos and audios when I was broke. And to be truthfully honest with you, from my experience, it kept me broke. It didn't do anything. It was great. It was a great experience because it gave me something to talk about later in life. But it wasn't until I found the spiritual side of marketing, really understanding the universal spiritual laws and getting away from the goal setting and the duplication, the stereotypical training, that everybody seemed to be offering the cookie cutter stuff. Come see this speaker, come see that speaker. That was really sexy at one time for me, but today my brain can't even begin to grasp it. It's kind of like I said on a conference call the other night. You could literally, this is the God's honest truth, and anyone wants to test me again, offer me a check for $500,000 to go see a seminar in Las Vegas with the names that you're all thinking that I might be thinking right now, and I would not be there. I would not go for, you couldn't pay me $500,000 to go. And that's the God's honest truth. And I know that's, some people would say, oh, no. And everyone would do that. I wouldn't do it. That's my conviction. I'm totally against that. I don't like the information. I think the information's poison and toxic a lot of the time, based on my experience and the people that I've been around that have influenced me in where I'm at today. So that's just where my belief system is today. So it's really amazing to watch the sponsored ads, because when I got started in this industry, nothing's really changed. The method of operation has changed, but statistically, I don't think there's been a lot of deviation from the statistics along the way. I'm still not sure where somebody came up with the 2.2, 2.6, 2.7. The rumor was back in 1992 that came out of, San Diego, at a convention in San Diego. Somebody threw that up on a stage, and then all of a sudden the industry adopted that belief system. So a lot of the things that you hear, like for the innocent, the naive, the newbies out there in the industry, you're basically just adopting a belief system, and you're making it a conviction based on the fact that several books have been written on it now, based on the fact that somebody was, drinking one night in a bar and said something, and all of a sudden it turned into New York #1 bestseller. So it's really amazing to see where the belief systems and the protocols and methods of operation have really truly come from. And in some cases, they all started out of a joke and a drunken conversation in a bar one night with a group of people. That can definitely happen too. So it's just really interesting to see. A whole lot hasn't really changed. And I know for me, the reason why I brought up COVID is I really hope there is change. I'm very outspoken. A lot of people don't like my method of operation, but I'm in a position in life where I can be the bad guy. I'm in a position like, this industry is not my bread and butter. I don't need to be an ambassador of anything in this industry. I don't need nothing from the internet whatsoever. I'm well beyond what those people need to accomplish in their lifetime. I choose to be that kind of wolf out there. And Diane, I see you doing a lot of it now too, where we're just speaking out and telling people that a lot of things in the industry are truly illusions. And, they basically, I think, do more damage than good. I think, and again, you guys don't have to agree with me, but I see these leaders out there that are flashing like, oh, I had a $7,000 day. I had a $6,000 day. Personal growth and development is everything. You need it. I get that, but that's not the answer. It really isn't the answer for the average person. That's a form of manipulation. And I think personally that area of education teaches you how to be very codependent, locked into somebody else's system. And as long as you can do that. So I kind of like what you said earlier, Diane, the free flow, we're all free spirits. That's why I really despise the word duplication in this industry as we kind of journey along. I really hope people break away from that. That's just my personal experience. I don't want to duplicate Diane. I don't want to duplicate Tracey. I don't want to duplicate Ray or any of you on this call. I want you to be your own unique wolf in the wolf pack. And I don't mean viciously as a wolf, just in your spiritual journey in life and in the industry. And that's why I tell people the only thing ever duplicated successfully in the history of marketing that I've seen in 41 years is failure. I've never seen duplication work. And I think the statistics back up that statement. So the real process, I think, for really excelling, and this is why I love these type of conversations. They're therapeutic, number one, but it allows great minds to come together and share, to be able to pop in here. There's other great minds that are on this platform right now that really aren't on the platform speaking, but, to invite Diane to come in and do this. But I was saying to Diane the other day, I was saying the way I build the business is from the power of the mastermind. See, I'm dysfunctional. I'm like everybody else. I'm an imperfect human being that's totally dysfunctional in a lot of areas. But there's an area of my life that I'm totally not dysfunctional that creates a lot of money for myself and a lot of other people. So what I do is, instead of buying into what other leaders want me to do and to follow their protocols, their methods of operation, I take a look around and I observe, and I take pieces of information from various different leaders. So I'll give you an example like what that means. When I take a look at a lot of speakers out there in the industry, Diane, if you have any comments on this, feel free to throw them in. Tracey and I've had this conversation so many times, but there's a lot of speakers in the industry that won't come back to this industry. There's a lot of speakers in this industry that have never made any money in this industry, to be truthful. I'm not going to name names. I don't want to do that. I don't want to rip them a new one on tonight's call. But you know what? The bottom line is they found a way to monopolize and capitalize on a very dysfunctional industry. And as long as you're dealing with one of the biggest dysfunctional industries in the world, which is network marketing, functionally speaking, it's not overly functional, just in case you don't know that yet. There's a great way to capitalize on that. And I think that's my biggest issue. That's the thing that rips me every day and propels me to move forward and be perceived as kind of negative, but in a truthful, positive sense. So other people might say, well, that guy's a prick. You know, he's really negative. He's seen a lot of bad things about this industry. Am I really saying bad things about the industry, or am I exposing how the magic's really done? Am I showing you how you're being scammed or been misled or been abused? All right. This is a very abusive industry. I don't care what anyone says. I think this industry is very abusive. It's like a bad relationship. And unless you understand who you are, and unless you understand that it's about you'll have your own personal growth and development. But here's where I want it to go through. So a lot of people say, well, hey, Val, you know, like you've had over 2.7 million people in your downlines in the industry and stuff like that. Like, who are your teachers? Who are your mentors? And it's kind of funny when I have to answer that question, because they're all waiting for me to say some of the big names, the books, tapes, videos, and audios, right? The greatest teachers and mentors that I ever had, I don't mind saying this on tonight's call, the greatest teachers and mentors that I've had that have helped get me to where I am today are the biggest scum-sucking dirtbags that ever walked the face of the earth. The biggest pieces of trash, human trash, the biggest con job artists that you've ever seen in your life. And I give them all the credit in the world for helping me in a very big way. You know what they taught me? How not to be. They taught me how not to be. So it's not your big names where, you know, I went to Walk on Fire and Walk on Rocks and, you know, I levitated at a Michael Jackson concert or something like that. It wasn't that. I've been around some of the most interesting people, but, you know, they're almost mafia style people. But you can learn unbelievable things that no motivational speaker can ever teach you in the trenches with the biggest, you know, scum-sucking dirtbags on the planet. Now, let me just go back on that. I didn't know they were scum-sucking dirtbags. Didn't know that at the time, because they knew how to play the game beyond your wildest dreams. These people could walk into a room. I kid you not, Diane. These people could walk into a room in any place, and all of a sudden the energy would change. It wasn't negative energy. People knew that these individuals commanded the ultimate
Around it.
What?
I've been around it.
Yeah, the utmost respect. These people were like gods. Like it's like the devil being God, you know, or masquerading as a god. And then all of a sudden later, behind the scenes, when you start seeing that, wow, yeah, something's not right here. What they're doing in front of people is, and what's going on behind the scenes is a little bit different than what they're saying and whatnot. So anyhow, I had the great privilege of being around that. And I took the good, you know, you see the good, the bad, the ugly, and you take. And Diane, even your mentor, Joe Schroeder, has been around some of the dirtbags that I'm talking about, just so you know, because Joe was in my downline back in another company when this was going on. So, you know, it's interesting to see the process. So anyhow, I know I get carried away, so I'll shut up in a second. So here's the deal. So the power of the mastermind is extremely powerful. The best way today, I think, of building a business, knowing what I know now, like kind of the Jedi training that you get out of all of this good, bad, ugly stuff, I would be seeking out people, even if they're in another company, I'd be seeking out people like Diane, people like Ray, people like Tracey, you know, other people that are going to be here watching this. You basically look for people that can compensate for your weaknesses. And that's what I did. And then you become the most dominating force in the network marketing universe, because you're never going to do it following somebody else's guideline and being somebody else's bitch. You're going to have to basically delegate, bring your strength to the table. And I'm going to tell you something. It really sucks when you invite people over to your house and you have to cook the meal, do the dishes, do everything. Some people might get excited about that. I don't. But what's really cool is when you have a potluck dinner and everybody brings their universal spiritual gift and talent to the table, meaning their cuisine to the table, the salad, the appetizer, the beverage, the really cool desserts, the main course meal, the cutlery, the bowls, whatever it is, right? It's just really beautiful when people can come together and can contribute in the form of community, as opposed to, hey man, I'm in Diane's downline and I'm going to sit back. I'm going to get spillover, man. We're just going to let Diane do it all. Like, we're just going to let the upline do it all. We're just going to stay in bed and be brain dead. Like I really want to position myself front line. I mean, I get all that stuff and the industry gets all that stuff.
Val, people don't even get that anymore. Like back in the day, you'd be like, oh, I want to be front line to the big dog. People don't even understand that anymore. It's like, it's.
But sorry, Dan, Val, you had a key phrase in that whole thing, and it was the method of operation. So you learned the method of operation from the dirt bag, and you said you didn't want that part of it. But you know what? A lot of that is the buffet. And even though there is the good, the bad, and the ugly, there is still a method of operation. And you can pluck some of that stuff out and say, okay, that's good, that's good. I see that works. That may work, but it's not who I am. And everybody has their own method. I mean, I have a method of operation every morning. I've got certain things that I have to do just running a business that I have to do in order to get to other things. So, I think that that's probably something that's missing from the average network marketer, is they really don't have a method of operation. Diane, I know that you've got an incredible method of operation. I mean, you have great lists, and you use lists and list building. We operate maybe in a little bit different format, but I think that for the average network marketer or beginner network marketer, or even probably some that have been around for a really long time, they have no method of operation. So I guess that would be the question that most people would be asking is, what do I do? And I think that they get lost right out of the gate because they really don't know what to do.
Well, I think you got to ask yourself, and then I'll throw it over to Diane. Diane, I'll throw it in your court in a second here. I think you got to ask yourself and be honest with yourself, why am I in this industry? Am I in this industry to be a follower, to be weak, to be vulnerable, to be susceptible? Am I in this industry just to waste another 10, 20 years out of my life? Like, I know some people here, I know some people, not in this call, but I know some people in the industry that have been in the game for 20 years, 25, 30 years. They still don't have a pot to piss in. But yet they claim to be experts, but they're not even breaking a check of $200 a month, $300 a month. I'm being honest with you. I know these people. How do I know them? Because I've been in conversations with them. So, something's missing, right? This whole thing of I just need to throw myself in Diane's court or Ray's court or Bill's court or Ron's court or Randy's court. I have a hard time with that, unless I'm bringing something to the table. I'm gonna bring something to the table, not to sit back and be codependent and wait for Diane to make me rich. I never want to be in a position where I have to wait for Diane to make me rich, or anyone in this industry. I want to be a part. I want to be a part of that contribution and a part of that build. And other people want to avoid it like the plague. It's almost like getting two people into your business is like the hardest thing in the world, when some of us can do that. Like I remember putting over 617 people a day in our downline, but other people can't even put two people in their business in 90 days. Something's wrong.
All right, I have a diatribe. It's my turn.
Okay, your turn. Go ahead.
The first thing is, you were talking about the industry being dysfunctional. Every industry that has the capacity to gather people around that are spending money emotionally is dysfunctional. I don't care if it's the wedding industry. I don't care if it's the pet industry, people who have little doggies that buy $500 sweaters for them. I don't care if it's the luxury car industry. It doesn't matter. If there are people that are spending money emotionally and trying to buy feeling better, sharks are going to show up. Period. Over now. It's not specific to this industry. I mean, me, like, I started in network marketing, but then I've done a lot of work in the marketing space. I've spent a lot of time with marketing experts. I've read every book under the sun on marketing. Marketing is about emotion. Network marketing is about emotion. We're selling into, like, why did I join? Because I saw something sparkly and bigger than myself and glamorous, and I was broke. And I saw a woman that I knew wasn't as smart as me, making 15 grand a month. And I knew if she could do it, I could do it, you know. And I don't mean to use the old industry lines, but it was true. I just sat there and I went, well, if that, can I say bad words?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, if that bitch can make 15 grand, I'm gonna get rich, you know.
Right
And,
on.
so, and it was all emotion, and I didn't have the money for the kit. And Fernand's joined me. I didn't have the money for the kit, and I wrote a check, and then I ran to the bank on Monday morning to cover it. And I sat there, and it was all emotion, because in the beginning I was trying to buy something. Now, the good news was I was lucky enough to be broke, so I didn't have a lot of money to try to buy my success. So there's always going to be sharks. There's always going to be people playing on people's emotions. And this industry, because people join it because of the pie in the sky belief, you know, or the lottery mentality, I'm going to recruit the right guy, you know, it will always be here. It will never go away. So I figured out very early that the responsibility was not on me. It was on me, not on them. Because they would manipulate me till kingdom come if I didn't take control. They were ready to sell me $14,000 worth of product to stick in my garage if I didn't take control. They were ready to tell me I needed to get to this and I needed to qualify and I needed to spend this much on the internet systems that were coming out. And I watched person after person go for it. Why I was blessed with some business sense to go, that doesn't make sense. You have to flip the product, you have to make a profit. You know, you can get there, but you can't just buy it. And this industry will always have a population that will churn and burn people. We'll take as much money as you have. Guess what? So will the strip club. Until your credit card's done, we're going to let a girl sit on your lap. Sorry to be crude, but I'm just being straightforward.
True.
When your
Absolutely
credit card
true.
stops, when your credit card declines, she's not going to sit on your lap anymore. And I'm trying to raise amused by my you know, humor here. Because he lives in Vegas. And it's just that simple. If you're a lonely dude and you're coming into the strip bar and you think you're in love with that girl, she'll sit on your lap until your credit card is done. You can go to all the parties at the events and qualify by buying products until your credit card is done. And if you can get a second mortgage, you can get more credit cards, we'll keep loving you and we'll celebrate you and we'll sing your song. And that's the reality. But here's the thing, they're going to sell you a $17,000 wedding dress so you can be a princess. And they're going to sell you an $82,000 car so you can prove to dad you made it. And they're going to, it doesn't matter. That's sales, it's marketing, it's greed. And this is an industry that actually preys on greed. So the question is, where are you spiritually? Are you moving on greed? Because if you're moving on greed, they're going to take your money all day, every day. And you can be in crypto, you can be in essential oils, you can be selling travel. It doesn't travel. I love the people that are still selling travel. It's like, you can't go anywhere. You have the most incredible travel deal. I'm like, that's great. If I can ever go somewhere again, let me know. I had a guy, there's a guy that's working with us and he's in Europe and he keeps talking to us about coming to Finland. I'm like, dude, we're not allowed to go to Finland. What don't you understand? Europe will not let us in. We're Americans. We have the plague. We're not allowed to go. And he's Canadian. He was born in Canada. He can't get into Canada. I'm like, why are you talking to me like it's 1999? It's 2020. I'm not coming to Finland next week. Can you be here next week? No, they can't be there next week. They're not going to let me. Well, I can talk to the embassy and this is. I'm like, no, I'm not coming over there next week. What are you, insane? Okay, so but I'm going to tell you the best travel deal under the sun. And no offense to if you're in a travel deal, that's cool.
Right.
But the point being, this is the name of the game. It's the name of the game everywhere. Okay, so we can sit and go, the industry this and the industry that, and the industry this. I can't be mad because I'll tell you right now, if somebody proposes to me someday, I'm probably going to want a $17,000 freaking dress with sparkles and a bustier. Okay, and I'm probably going to buy it even though I shouldn't. And if I have the chance to buy this and that, like I'm obsessed with RVs right now. I'm obsessed with I'm fantasizing that I'm going to go on the road and shower in one of those things. Ain't going to happen, but I'm fantasizing. I'm also fantasizing about a really cute little
Wow,
dog.
what you think about, you bring about, possibly, you never know.
And I'm fantasizing about a cute little dog, which I also don't want to take care of, and I don't want to take him for a walk, and I don't want to clean their poop. But it's a fantasy. And if one night I get sad enough, or one night I have enough beer, or one night, I don't really drink beer, whatever, but maybe the next day I'll go buy a dog, and they're going to sell me the most expensive dog they can sell me because I'm moving on emotion. So here's the question. Do we want to move on business sense, or do we want to move on emotion? And that's really the choice, because if you need to be manipulated, they're going to manipulate you. And if you're ready to do business, they will respect you. And it's the same anywhere you go. If you walk into the car dealership and they can tell you're not buying, they're going to show you the car and they'll be very nice. Here's my car. They're not going to give you the time of day. If they know you're ready to buy, they're going to roll out the red carpet, right? So if somebody knows you're ready to do business, and that's what I made sure of early in my game, is I made sure they knew that I was ready to work. Now, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I knew if I did it, they'd let me in. And if they let me in, I'd find out the next step and the next step and the next step. So I kept achieving to this day. You know, to this day, I try to be, you know, the #1 affiliate, the #1 this, the #1 that, because then you get on the inside. So my rant is, somebody's always going to want to sell you something. I don't care if you're into classic cars. I don't care what you're into. I don't care if you're into roller skates. They're going to try to sell you the most expensive roller skates. Roller skating is very big again. And I was a roller skater back in the day. So I've noticed this. Doesn't matter. What matters is, are you going to educate yourself? Are you going to become savvy? Are you going to figure out what your strengths and talents are? I figured out I had a gift for words. I can speak, I write. I'm not very good at certain things. I'm really good at other things. Are you going to align with people that compliment you, like Belle said? The people that are the match for you. You know, in the beginning, I was very shy. I lined up with people that had a good mouth. I have a good mouth now. That sounds weird. But back in the day, I was good at inviting, but I wasn't good at presenting. And I learned to present, and I learned this, and I learned to freestyle. You know, if somebody were really smart, they'd align with me and let me do the talking. But people don't get that. They're like, I don't want you to meet my people. Why in the world wouldn't you want me to meet your people? Because I really don't want to make money.
And that's the thing. That's the problem I'm having, is people are doing totally opposite of what works. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know what? If I'm hurting, if I'm in a position in life right now where I'm hurting, I would love to align myself with you or someone like you that was at least sincere and genuine. I would need to figure that out over a period of time, because there's other people out there in the industry that I wouldn't want to align myself with, to be truthfully honest with you. But you brought up those key points. That's it. Why wouldn't you want me to do your presentations for you for free? And that's what I learned. You know, some of us were making like stupid money because we would align ourselves with somebody that could perform the magic unlike anybody else. And it was making us a lot of money just because of the alignment right there. I
always look for that guy or gal, whoever it was, if they had magic tongue. Here, come here, meet Frank. It was Frank, my first guy. Come here, come talk to Frank. You got to meet Frank. Frank's awesome. You'll love Frank. Talk to Frank. Frank would bag them, you know, and Joe would say to me, you bring them, I'll bag them. You bring them, I'll bag them. And I learned all this internet stuff to bring them. I'd bring them, he'd bag them. I made money.
Yeah, and you're probably making a lot of it too, working with guys like Joe, because they were masters. Joe was a master. There was a lot of masters in the industry, and people got it back then. I think more people were making better money back then than they are today, for a number of reasons. And that's just my opinion. For a number of reasons that I won't get into, but this is the part that's missing. People are getting caught up in, you know, they don't get it. They're caught up in the product. It's not the product, it's the messenger. I mean, I know people that sell great products, but you know what? Their sales suck. Their sales volumes suck. Their team sales volumes suck. Product might be really good, but the messengers, they don't have any messengers. They have nobody to live up to deliver a message to make it happen. So this is, I'll shut up one second. Let me just finish. So the biggest thing I'd be looking for right now, if I were kind of new, naive, innocent, really not producing the numbers, I'd be saying, how can I get people in front of this one particular individual? That, I think, is the key for people surviving in this industry right now without going into financial ruin, jumping from program to program because some advisory board of a health club or something, or this CEO had a past history. But forget that. I want to know who's the carrier pigeon. Every company I get into, who's their carrier pigeon? And that's what I need to know. Everything else is irrelevant to me right now.
It's all about the invitation.
And Billy Graham, and if you ever study Billy Graham, I'll just share this with you. I'm not here to preach Christianity or nothing, but I'll tell you, Billy Graham taught me. Who taught me? It was Billy Graham. And I studied Billy Graham. And what happened was, when you ever saw Billy Graham do an event, he didn't do three-way calls. He didn't do one-on-one presentations. Billy was the designated spokesperson for a very large organization called Christianity, and they would use him as the flagship speaker, the keynote speaker. And then what would happen is all the delegated roles of the churches and the parishioners and the radio and the media, they would broadcast all over the world, and it's going to be the Billy Graham crusade. And so what would happen is all these Christians that were great speakers, many pastors, reverends, ministers, priests, whatever you want to call them, there were a lot of capable people delivering the message, but Billy was the chosen one. He was the delegated carrier pigeon to speak on behalf of the Christian organization. And then God only knows, when you take a look at Candlestick Park, 80,000 people in Candlestick Park. God only knows how many people are listening on the radio, television, other media sources. And this guy's doing an hour-and-a-half presentation on NBC or Fox or something, standing there at the pulpit. And I remember he said, his close was, for those of you that would like to give your life to Jesus Christ, please come forward. And I'm sitting there rubbing my hands like this saying, hey, I want to see how many people are going to, buy into this, right? And all of a sudden, 35,000, 40,000 people in an hour-and-a-half presentation are getting up out of the chairs and walking down the cement aisles, coming out onto the field, hands in the air, giving their lives to Jesus Christ. And I said, oh my God, if this guy can do an hour-and-a-half presentation, close 30, 40,000 people in Candlestick Park, and a little over, 70, 80 minutes, God only knows what was going on in the radio, on the television, how many people were down on their knees in tears, crying and giving their lives to the Lord and all that. I'm going like, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm doing this in network marketing.
It's funny you say that, because there's a particular trainer. I saw him once. I was watching a live stream when live streams were very new. I was watching a live stream of an event, and I watched him closing $15,000 sales. I watched him have the whole audience rush him to give him $50,000. And I watched his particular technique, how he took their hand and took a picture with them and basically got that handshake, which was their commitment, even though they hadn't paid that. I watched the whole thing, and I immediately contacted his team because I wanted to go train with him. And I don't like him. I'll be truthful. I don't like him to this day. I don't like him. But he was so good.
Right.
That I had to go witness him. I had to go witness him. And I'm still not a fan. Don't want to go back. But I learned a tremendous amount, because it's about influence. But what I understood very early on is, if I didn't have influence in a room, I was better off to find, Joe used to call it the Elvis in the room. Who's the Elvis in the room? Build a relationship with that person, and you will have, by osmosis, influence in the room. And I've built a career. I actually don't like to be the front person.
It's like Lord Authority, right?
I prefer not to be that person. I'd much rather have a charismatic person that I can point to than have to be that person. I'm an introvert. That's not my, I can rile myself up and I can do a show, but then afterwards I kind of like fall apart for 2 days, and I have to call Ray to hypnotize me to get me to stand back up again. It's not my thing. And I understood early on that wasn't my gift. So if I were out, looking to convert people, I'd bring in a Billy Graham. I wouldn't try to do it myself, because I could do more putting people in front of that person than I can do myself. And for 98% of networkers, that's true of them. And yet today's marketplace has convinced them of something else. And you have to have some humility to remember, every $1 million earner is surrounded by 5 $500,000 earners who are surrounded by 5 to 10 $250,000 earners that are surrounded by 10, 6-figure
Right.
earners and so on.
Right.
And it's always that way. So the question is, who you hanging out with? Who you hanging out with? And I knew right away to hang out with the right people. Always
Yep,
did.
got to swim upstream.
I just always did. And I also knew that I didn't always have to be working someone to have a relationship with them, so I could have access to their phone to call them, or Facebook now. If I messaged Val and said, Val, you got 15 minutes from me, he would take it.
Right.
And only because he knows I work, he knows I would take his words.
You deserve it. You deserve my time because of what you're putting back into the industry. Other
Yeah.
people don't deserve your time.
And I can get almost anybody to take my call.
Yeah.
And that's, even if I don't know them, through the connections that I have, I can get almost anybody to take my call, which means I can get advice and mentorship from anybody that's walked before me.
Yeah.
And that's powerful. And most people don't understand the power of that. I may have 20 years and I can sit and beat my chest, but he's got 40. He's done more. So what am I going to do? Sit here and go,
Well, there's people that have been in the industry a lot longer, and they'd be embarrassed to say that they were, because they haven't done anything. So it's the time put in, the time that we spent learning, the time that you've spent with the right people, the correct people, and and really learning. And I think that that's, we look at the industry, look at the online industry specifically, at least I am, and there's sort of this arrogance of some that just think that, they've arrived, they're on the internet, that they should be putting money in their pocket. They don't know that so they'll say, how do you know that? Or how do you do that? It's because I've put my time in. It's like you did, Diane. The way we started out this whole conversation was the time that you spent getting close to the people that you needed to be close to. And it was doing the grunt work. It was putting the chairs away. It was being around those people. You were of value to them because they knew that they could rely on you. And I think that that's a real bit of a cancer in the industry, is that being able to rely on people is, I mean, that's saying something. Like Val and I've got a great relationship. We've got a great business relationship. I know 100% that I can rely on him and vice versa. We've built that trust, we've built that relationship, but everything is just so microwave. People are here today, gone tomorrow. There's no stick-to-itiveness to learn anything. And I think that's kind of, I don't know how to get past how, you're not going to get people to learn because you're telling them to learn. They have to want to learn to change, but it's like it's a disease out there.
There's way more options today than there was back in 1982.
Same as TV, how do you get people from clicking the channel? You don't. But certain shows develop zealot fans. So how does one show develop, like the TV show This Is Us? It's all the rage, This Is Us, and people love it, and they sit and they wait. And then there's 4 million other TV shows that didn't get that fan base. Why? Because the people that created that show understand human nature, and everybody else is just making a show. It's why do certain people have cult followings, and whether they did something in the industry or didn't, because a lot of people will, be mad at, Johnny Come Lately, who has this big coaching program or whatever, and he didn't do the big numbers. He did something else. He's still very influential. My feeling is, if anybody can put 200 people on a webinar, they got influence. If anybody can put 200 people in a room, they got influence. If they can do more, they got a hell of a lot of influence. And they did something. They just didn't do it in network marketing. Okay. I mean, I'm not the biggest network marketer. I haven't been. I'm very big in affiliate programs. I'm in network marketing. I make money in network marketing. I've never made huge, I have friends that make $300,000 a month. I don't. But I do something I love, and I have a lot of influence. So not wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
And I make good money. So I'm very happy. I'm okay with that.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Well, I would also say too, network marketing is a different animal today, you know, the definitions of it. The program that I work with is more of an affiliate program, but has a multi-level pay plan. Other programs are very specific, you know, traditional network marketing. I think the day of a lot of the traditional network marketing pay plans is ending. Time will tell. But, you know, the government, the regulations, the this, the that, the media, the YouTube videos bashing them. I mean, I just watched today on Netflix. It was a documentary about essential oil. The next thing I know, it was bashing MLM.
I watched it last night.
I was like, it's essential oil. What happened? How did we get into MLM is evil? So, and that's Netflix, and that's pretty mainstream.
Yeah, that certainly doesn't help the industry, that's for sure.
Well, to be truthfully honest with you, even though I'm a product of this industry, I really hope that the pay plans change. I really, really do, because I really hope the pay plans change to force people to work. And that's what I love about affiliate pay plans, as opposed to your stereotypical spillover matrix binaries. They're welfare programs. I believe, based on the dynamics of the comp plan, but I love a good pay plan that forces a human being to actually put in work in order to get a paycheck.
People love the lottery, don't they?
Yeah. It's just the lottery's got to come to an end. So hopefully Planet X will come back and hit the planet and eliminate that process very quickly. And we can rejuvenate and restart out and create, you know, the correct version of the pay plan that I think, you know.
Well, the one good thing that happens is when things start to change, when things end, things begin. And we've certainly seen a lot of things ending. And so that does open up the door for the creatives to be creative. And, you know, you're going to see some things be born out of adversity. And so, I mean, I think just, you know, strap on your seatbelt, because I think that whatever happens is somebody's going to touch on something that's going to move the industry, move people. And, you know, that could be happening soon, maybe not so soon, but, you know, people are going to have to change in light of what we're going through right now. I mean, whether it's politically, whether it's environmentally, whether it's through, you know, this illness that's going on, this virus that's going around, it's going to hit a tipping point where people have had enough, and it will, something will happen. It just has to, it will open the floodgate and something will change. Whoever it will be, whatever part of the industry it'll be, who knows? But that does force change, and for good or bad, I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Well, I think
I'm sorry, Doc. I was going to say, the thing I'd most like to see change is companies' policies and procedures, and this concept of owning independent contractors.
Yeah, I rewrote companies' policies and procedures because they were archaic. They were stuck back in the 80s.
I find it fascinating. You know, if I want to sell something completely unrelated, I'm not rating a downline. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm not doing anything unethical. They're still, and the actual associates are like freaking out. Like, they don't want anybody doing anything other outside of that tunnel vision. And it's
you're not an independent contractor.
If you take a look at the policies and procedures, they're almost written by Nazis in this industry. And I have no problem saying that in a live call. They really, really are. Tracey and I have had this. We've had this out with company owners all the time, and Tracey's had to help rewrite a couple companies' policies and procedures because they are so outdated. They are so outdated. I mean, there's other words I want to use, but I'm not gonna do it. But anyhow, so fear-based and just, you know, totally Gestapo-like. And I just, people, you know, people look at me funny when I say, look, you're in multi-level marketing. Don't talk to me about being an entrepreneur. You're an employee. You're a glorified employee, whether you like it or not. You follow their guidelines, their procedures. The company can take you to court anytime they want. They 1099 you.
Pull the pin on you.
You're under all the taxation rules with them. You have no creativity with your taxes with that particular company. And anytime you choose to, you know, take a look to the left or the right, they have, you know, they've set it up so they can steal your downline and manipulate and do whatever it is they want. And I have very difficult times. There's so much more I could tell you, but I don't want to freak everybody out, because I've been in the corporate structure. I could tell you things about people's paychecks that were so incorrect, it would blow your mind. Yeah. People have no idea how much their paycheck is truly worth when it's being calculated at the end of every single month. And trust me, there's a slush fund for Louis Vuitton purses. You're not really getting what you should.
I'm a merchant. I'm not an entrepreneur per se at this juncture of my career. I haven't created a whole bunch of things. I don't have this whole big infrastructure. I sell things. I buy them wholesale. I sell them for a profit, whatever it may be. Some of those things sit inside of a multi-level structure, and that's very nice. And I have nice residual income. Some of those things are straight, retail wholesale. Some of those, I sell a lot of different things, and I don't want to be under anybody's control. I'm willing to, but I also don't want to be unethical. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are just slimy and unethical. There's a sense of respect. There's a sense of collegiality. I come from out of a college environment, and I'm constantly fascinated by, and I've learned this early on in my career, that you got to be careful about who you introduce your people that are under your influence to. You got to be careful about what webinar you put them on. Like Val's trying to get all of you. So if I invited you, and I know there's a few of you here, watch out for him. I literally wrote on. I'm on with some troublemakers or something. I said something silly. You know me, Val. I always say
serious troublemakers.
Yeah.
Let them know that we're serious troublemakers.
Serious troublemakers. So,
but just going back to what was said between you and Tracey there, I think one of the biggest starts to changing what needs to be changed in this industry are certain personalities need to give themselves permission to come together. And a lot of leaders choose, or perceived leaders choose, not to come together for obvious reasons. But I think we have to reach a point where we say, hey, you know what? It doesn't hurt to come together on something. I'm not sure what that something is, but I mean, discussion maybe first, whatever it is. But the leaders of this industry, in order for this industry to change, those that influence need to come together for the common good and cure the disease in the industry, instead of just riding the wave on it and making money off the disease in this industry. Yeah. This industry to me has been nothing but a bunch of weak personalities in a codependent environment getting taken advantage of. And I'm talking generally speaking. I'm not just talking about a specific group, but globally speaking, worldwide, I've seen how particular companies have targeted second and third world countries and stay away from first world countries for a reason. Because the first world countries will put up resistance, but when somebody like in a third world country is dying to eat, they will run from one village to another in order to do the work, in order to get it done. And I've seen major leaders in North America take advantage of certain tribes in these second and third world countries in order to build what they can't build in the first world, because of. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics here. It's not about, hey man, get in a company and go out there and find target market leads, and just run traffic. There's a whole science to it from a global point of view. Really understanding this right down. It's not
psychology major.
Right.
But you know what? This country, I mean, I'm in the States, was built on the backs of immigrants. It takes advantage of the person that doesn't have any other options. It's just a way of, it just is what it is. And the question is, who do we want to be? What do we want to know? How do we want to educate ourselves? I personally choose not to do that. I personally don't want to do that. Will companies always do that? They will. And so I like people to just get into reality, because a lot of people sit and they're wring their, they sit and they, cry in their rag and wring it and sit and live in it. Look, it is what it is. It's been this way since the beginning of time. It'll be this way to the end of the time. The question is, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you want to learn? Who do you want to know? Etc. Because it's always, I was a goofy housewife with no background. And yeah, they rode me until I read some books and I looked at some things and I got smart and I hung around with people and I said, okay, I'm more than this. A lot of people never do. A lot of people want to be in a cult. A lot of people want to sing the song and wear the,
Kumbaya, yeah.
And wear the company underwear. And you think I'm kidding. I had company underwear. I had company logo underwear. I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. I didn't have the picture of my mother in my living room. I had the company founder. I was that girl. Okay.
So that was kind of like your Leif Garrett of the 70s poster
You
child.
know, the fact that you mentioned Leif Garrett makes me like you even more. So that's a reference that not that many people would know. I just put up today that I'm a Leif Garrett. I took it. I was a Sean Cassidy girl myself
Yeah.
in Bay City Rollers, but my true love, my first love, and my continued love is Barry Manilow. I think Barry's, you know, and I was saying how I put up pictures from a concert, and of course there are no concerts right now, but if Barry comes back out, I don't care where he is, I'm going.
Well,
So,
if you ever start a company, Diane, call it Copacabana.
man, what are we gonna sell? Fruity shakes, fruity shakes, and
Right, yeah, daiquiris. Hey?
can I wear the hat with the fruit?
You can wear anything you want. No
And the
Oh,
underwear.
yeah, so I'm good on stage.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be pretty funky.
Oh,
Well, hey, listen, we've spent a long time on here tonight. We covered some
Yeah.
good stuff. It's been fun doing this call. I just didn't want to keep you guys on here for 2-3 hours because that can happen without us even knowing it. Listen, Diane, thanks so much for popping in here. We're gonna be doing these. I think probably every Sunday. We have no idea what we're gonna say. We have no idea what we're gonna do. The panel can get bigger and bigger as we journey along. Have a few other people just sharing concepts, ideas, and like I said, God only knows what's going to be said on these calls. We have no idea. There's no script. There's no topic. There's no nothing. We just get on here and jam. And I think people appreciate these type of conversations. They can judge the good, the bad, the ugly. Either they like us or they don't like us. That's just the nature of the beast. But at least we do what others are afraid to do. Come out here and talk our truth and share our truth. And I think that's a really cool thing. So Tracey, any final words before?
Sunday night sessions. I'm just thrilled that we're back doing them again. I always enjoy them so much. I think we get so much value out of it. And thank you, Diane. So grateful for
Such
you
an
to come in and
honor.
share your thoughts and your wisdom and your experience. It's great. People will get a lot of great stuff out of that as well.